So today we're going to get more involved with some inequalities. We're going to go to a multi-step inequality, just like we did with multi-step equations. You're going to have to do more than just add or subtract to one side. You're going to have to do a combination of both to get the problem done. So let's go through and do this. Remember, the only rule we need to really concentrate on that's different than equalities is when we multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative, then we must reverse the inequality sign. So the first thing I'll do is I'll distribute the 4 through, and I'll distribute the negative 3 through. Now notice, I'm going to distribute a negative 3, but I'm only doing it to one side, so I won't have to reverse my inequality yet. So I have 4x minus 20 minus 12x minus 6 is greater than negative 3x minus 21. I'm going to combine like terms on both sides of my equation. I have a negative 8x on my left minus 26 is greater than negative 3x minus 21. Now I have a personal preference. I like to keep my x values positive so I don't have to worry about reversing the inequality. So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to add 8x to both sides. And you don't have to do this, but I just prefer it. And then I'm going to need to get all the x's to one side and all the numbers to the other, or constant terms to the other. So I'll add 21 to both sides as well. The 8x minus 8x goes away. Negative 26 plus 21 is negative 5. And that's going to be greater than positive 5x. I need to get x by itself, so I divide both sides by 5. Notice I'm dividing both sides by a positive. My inequality sign does not need to reverse, so I get x is equal to negative, or is less than, negative 1. There's my algebraic solution. If I want to graph this, I create my number line, find negative 1 on it. It's not included, but x has to be less, so less goes to the left, and there's my solution. Let's do another problem that involves some fractions, and we'll go ahead and clear the fractions on this. There's a couple of tricks we're going to have to do. First of all, distribute the negative 5/8, and then you'll notice we have that negative out in front of our parentheses. So there's like a negative 1 out there. I'm going to need to distribute that to both terms. I have negative 5/8 x plus, notice the 2 and the 8 reduce to a 4, so I have negative 5 over 4 minus 3/2 is greater than or equal to 4 minus x minus 2/3. So now I look at this and I say, wow, I've got 8, a 4, a 2, and a 3 in my denominators, and I'm going to need to clear all those. So I need to find a number that all those numbers go into. And the only thing I can think of that's on the small side is 24. So I'm going to multiply every single term on both sides of the equation by a 24. And since it's a positive, I don't need to reverse the inequality sign. You'll notice 8 and 24 reduced to a 3, so that's negative 15x. 4 and 24 reduced to a positive 6, so that's minus 6 times 5, which is 30. 2 and 24 reduced to a 12, so that's negative 3 times 12, which is 36. 4 and the 24 multiply to a 96. That's negative 24x. 3 and the 24 reduced to an 8, and 8 times 2 is 16, so that's minus 16. So now I'm going to group all my like terms, or combine my like terms on one side of the equation. This is negative 15x minus 66 greater than or equal to, that's 80 minus 24x. Again, my preference is to keep my x terms positive before I divide. So I'm going to add 24x to both sides, and then I'll add 66 to both sides as well. So what we have is 146 on the right side. On the left side, the 66's go. I'm left with a total of 9x. Get x by itself by dividing by 9 to both sides. Since it's a positive, I don't need to reverse the inequality. And when I divide both sides by the 9, I get x equals, or I'm sorry, not equals, but is greater than or equal to 146 over 9. That doesn't reduce. So we come over here, 146 over 9 is included. And I'm looking for greater, so I move to the right. So here's a problem. We've got Adriana has a budget of 115 bucks for faxes. The fax service she uses charges $25 just to get the account going, and then 8 cents per page to send the fax. We want to know how many pages she can fax and stay within the $115 budget. So if 115 is my limit and I can't go over it, I must be less. But I could equal 115, so it's less than or equal to. And then we have a per page charge of 8 cents, so 0.08 x would indicate however many pages I have, I multiply that by 0.08. Plus we have to add on the $25 they're going to charge us up front. If I go ahead and solve this, then I subtract 25 to both sides. I end up with 90 and 0.08x. Divide both sides by 0.08. And we end up with x being less than or equal to 1125. So we can fax up to 1,125 faxes before I go over that $115 limit. Let's do one more. We're going to write an inequality for the following, and then we'll go ahead and solve it. It says 4 times a number, so that's 4x, plus 12 is less than, so that's less than, the smaller portion, the number unknown as x minus 3. We can go ahead and solve that. In this case, I'll subtract x to both sides because I like to keep my x's positive. Subtract 12 to both sides. We get 3x is less than negative 15. Divide both sides by a positive 3. So I don't need to reverse the inequality. I get x is less than negative 5. Find my negative 5. Since it's not included, we open circle it. Less than moves left.